Okay, I will be going over How Do I Love Thee? Let Me Count the Ways by Elizabeth Barrett Browning. And I really enjoyed this poem. I definitely like romantic things, so I think that's why it attracted my eye. And Elizabeth Barrett Browning is part of that romanticism literary movement. So yeah, like, and a lot of people found her writing attractive in the romantic side. So a little bit about her. She was born in 1806, and she lived a comfortable life. Like, her family was, lived comfortably, and she was the oldest child of 12 kids. She had some health issues pretty early on, and ended up like having just pain like in her spine and in her head, and soon after lost mobility. She also, as she got older, had some lung issues as well. She was very, very into literature, and obviously that propelled her into being a poet. She talks about like all the social things that her family did, but any time that she could just escape and read, that's what she did. By the age of 6, she was reading novels, and so you can, I don't know, you just know that she has an eye and a feeling for literature. But yeah, she's been writing poetry since she was 11. So with that said, a little bit more of like still when she was younger, she lost a sister when she was about 8 years old, and then later on in her 20s, the early 20s, she lost her mother. So she has experienced loss, which is, I think, something you notice in this poem we're going to go over. She was introduced to like literary society in her 30s, and then published her first adult collection in 1838, and then into the 40s just kept putting things out there. And since she was so sick, she spent a lot of time in her room, so she didn't see a lot of people, but read a lot. So I don't know, I feel like when you read a lot, you know a lot. She was reached out to by Robert Browning, who was a writer, and had a similar or just like was very into her taste. And so like he just reached out and was like, I really like this, and it's interesting. They both kind of inspired each other. And a little while after he reached out, they started secretly dating, which led to a private marriage in 1846. And it was a private marriage because she knew that her dad wouldn't approve, so it was kept that way. Later he found out, yada yada. They honeymooned in Paris and later moved to Italy, and she was in her 40s at this point, so tried to have kids, had 4 miscarriages, ended up having a son, which is a miracle. But yeah, and then time went on, her health deteriorated, and from there she just got sicker and sicker. She died in her 50s, so wasn't even married for very long. But it's said that her last word was beautiful, and I think that's interesting because of that romantic style that people enjoyed in her writing. So I think that's kind of like, I hope it's not made up because that is really cool. And yeah, that's a little bit about Elizabeth. So now I'm going to just read the poem over, and then we're going to go through the poem and kind of dissect it. Okay. How Do I Love Thee? Let Me Count the Ways by Elizabeth Barrett Browning. How do I love thee? Let me count the ways. I love thee to the depth and breadth and height my soul can reach when feeling out of sight. For the ends of being an ideal grace, I love thee to the level of everydays. Most quiet need by sun and candlelight, I love thee freely as men strive for right. I love thee purely as they turn from praise. I love thee with the passion put to use in my old griefs and with my childhood's faith. I love thee with a love I seem to lose. With my lost saints, I love thee with the breath, smiles, tears of all my life, and if God choose, I shall but love thee better after death. So obviously romantic. Let's just jump into analyzing this. So the first kind of section, how do I love thee? Let me count the ways. It's just saying like, how much love do I have for you? Like, okay, I'm gonna count for you. I'm gonna show you, like, it's kind of setting up, this is how I love you. I love thee to the depth and breadth and height my soul can reach. So basically it's like everything in my being, you know, to the depth and breadth and height. It's like trying to show how full, you know, how full of love she is. Like edges of my soul can reach, edges of my soul, all of it. The next kind of section is when feeling out of sight for the ends of being an ideal grace. So I think this kind of touching into her religious beliefs, like that even like the love reaching out to the eternities and with God, and like going past just like this physical being, but it's much deeper than that. I love thee to the level of every day's most quiet need by sun and candlelight. So this is like, I love you, like I love you and I give you the love that you need, and this is daytime, nighttime, like this is 24 hours all the time. I love thee freely as men strive for right. This is comparing like a man who's trying to do good, that's what he chooses to do. It's his choice, and it's like, this is my choice, that I love you like this. I love thee purely as they turn from praise. This is suggesting like, this is my love, it's from me, and it's not, I'm not doing this. This is like a self-seeking attention kind of thing. It's not for like personal gain. It's like, I'm choosing to do this and for you. I love thee with the passion put to use in my old griefs. This is, I feel like, comparing the strength of love, like when you've experienced something, you feel it really deeply, and so I think this is when it goes back to like losing her mom and sister, and like that love and depthness of that into this. And with my childhood's faith, that's kind of bringing that religion part back into there. I love thee with the love I seem to lose with my lost saints. I love thee with the breath, smiles, tears of all my life. This is like breath, smiles, tears, all of this for the rest of my life, for my whole life, all yours. And the last line, and if God choose, I shall but love thee better after death. And this is that religious part again, and it's like, if we're going to heaven, like there'll be more love that I want to give to you, and this is going to continue forever. So that's my presentation. Thank you.